Hello everyone, and welcome back to Typing Tuesday. I have a question for all of you. Do you believe everything you see online? Have you ever been fooled by something that is actually fake? This week, we will take a closer look at what is called deep fake videos and how to spot them. So imagine you have a video of someone talking or doing something. Now, a deep fake video is a special kind of video where technology is used to manipulate or change what the person in the video is saying or doing. It's not real, it's like a magic trick for videos. This technology uses artificial intelligence to swap faces, voices, or actions in a way that looks very convincing. So, you might see a video of someone saying things they never actually said, or doing things they never did. It's important to know that deep fakes can be used to create fake news or spread misinformation. Always be critical when watching videos online and remember that not everything you see is necessarily true. It's good to double-check information and think about whether a video might be a deep fake or not. If you ever have questions, it's a good idea to ask a trusted adult for guidance. Stay tuned for the Anime Club preview and This Week in History. That's all for this week. See you all next week and have a nice day.
You've probably seen at least one of these videos of Keanu Reeves acting very, well, Keanu on TikTok. Some of the videos have millions of likes and comments like this. But has Keanu Reeves really moved from The Matrix and John Wick to weird viral TikToks? Time to find out, is this legit? Hi everyone, it's Sophia, and welcome back to Is This Legit? A series brought to you by MediaWise and PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs, where we fact-check viral claims and teach you some media literacy skills along the way. Today's world is filled with technological advances that come some amazing and scary realities, like the tech used to create what we call deepfakes. In this episode, we're going to find out what a deepfake is and how to spot one. Recently, the Washington Post TikTok guy, Dave Jorgensen, tweeted that a lot of people on TikTok are falling for a deepfake Keanu Reeves account. This might have been a surprise to the thousands of fans of this account who thought they were actually watching Keanu, but Jorgensen is right. You're not actually seeing Keanu in any of these videos. So first, let's talk about what a deepfake is. Deepfakes are synthetic media, aka fake content, that are created using artificial intelligence. In deepfake videos, a person's face is swapped with another to make it look like they said or did something they didn't. The Keanu deepfake account is just for entertainment, like the TikTok account at Deep Tom Cruise, which has over 3 million followers. And more recently, advertisers have started using deepfakes to sell stuff, including this Russian commercial in which Bruce Willis helps defuse a bomb. Technology can be harmful when it's put in the hands of disinformers. You might remember when a video of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky circulated on social media, in which he told his soldiers to lay down their arms and surrender to Russia. But of course, this never actually happened. But hackers were able to place the deepfake on Ukrainian news websites and TV stations. So to recap, there are definitely some advantages to deepfake technology, including entertainment and self-expression, movie production, using it to market, to try on stuff virtually. For instance, have you ever tried on clothing through a shopping app by swapping your face with the model's face? You were using deepfake technology. Deepfake technology keeps getting better and better. So to fight it when someone uses deepfake technology for malicious purposes, including harassment or to create fake content, we as the viewers need to get smarter. So let's take a closer look at the Keanu Reeves account. There are definitely some major red flags here. The most obvious might be that the username is Unreal_Keanu, and the bio states it's a parody. Still, it has fooled a lot of people. Lesson here, always check the bio. We played one of the videos and examined it closely. Specifically, you can see that the skin on the Keanu Reeves face is blotchy. The hair's a bit off, the lighting changes in a weird way. This definitely means something's up with the video. Here are some specific questions that might help you figure out if the video you're looking at is a deepfake. Look at the person's eyes. Are they blinking or just totally still? Next, is the skin tone blotchy? In deepfake, skin tone and lighting can appear off. Look at the finer details, such as hair. They're difficult to render, so does the hair appear not to move or seem too perfect to be true? Do the teeth look weird or undefined? If the person's wearing glasses or earrings, check the details for minor imperfections. Might tell you there. And finally, look if the video looks out of character. If it's something the person wouldn't do or say, you should be suspicious and try to look it up. These can all be clues to seeing if the video you're looking at is a deepfake. Now to our rating. This TikTok account has fooled many users, but it's not legit and is filled with deepfake videos across the board. Though the bio indicates it's purely for entertainment and not for any malicious intent. As technology advances, remember you cannot always believe what you see online. I hope these tips help, and remember to subscribe and like for more fact checks like these. Bye guys!
Don't compromise, be media wise.
Hello, this is Mr. Simonton. I'm going to let you know what we're going to be showing this week in Anime Club, and I'm pretty sure it's a special episode for a lot of you. It is going to be One Piece. One Piece has the distinction of being the world's most published manga, and in anime it has over 1,000 episodes. And this week we're going to see Monkey and Katakuri. They're engaging in a massive duel until finally hitting each other with finishing blows. You can see there's a lot of action going on in just a couple of GIFs that I have here at the bottom, so very colorful too. So hopefully see you for this first ever presentation of the Anime Club for One Piece. So we'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome once again to This Week in History. I'm your host, Mr. Simonton. First of all, on January 21st, 1954, the American submarine USS Nautilus becomes the world's first nuclear-powered submarine. It was launched at Groton, Connecticut. The Nautilus also has the distinction of being the world's first vessel to travel underneath the Arctic ice pack in the dead of winter, completely submerged. So quite a significant event. January 21st, 1976, the Concorde supersonic jet began passenger service with flights between London and Bahrain in the Middle East and Paris to Rio de Janeiro in South America, cruising at twice the speed of sound at 1,440 miles per hour. Most jet airliners fly at about 500 miles or 550 knots or so, and at an altitude of 60,000 feet, which is twice the height of most normal commercial aircraft. What you're going to notice in these images here is that the aircraft has a slightly bent nose, and that's because the nose is very elongated to help it punch through the air at supersonic speeds. But it was so long that pilots couldn't see when they were landing, so they made a hinge nose that would actually kind of fold down, so as they're preparing for their landing, as you can see here, they're flaring out, they're able to see over the nose and what the runway is. So now we're going to see a couple of images of it actually taking off. It's actually pretty cool. Now, as impressive as that takeoff was, I've got one that's even better, and it's this one. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you look at the rear of the engines, they look like they're actually on fire. You're going to see the flames cut out there. And what the aircraft was using is something called an afterburner. And what they do is they dump fuel, raw fuel, into the exhaust system and ignite it. And that helps it give it an extra boost. It's very wasteful in fuel, but if you need a lot of power in a hurry, that gets it done. Unfortunately, you saw it said never to be seen again, and that's because after a crash in 2000 that killed everybody on board, 3 years later, actually, service was canceled. It was expensive. They're worried about safety issues and also noise issues. January 22nd, 1901, Queen Victoria of England passed away after ruling for 61 years, the longest reign in British history, so maybe Queen Elizabeth II there, which England had become the most powerful empire in the world. Music in the background there, you hear God Save the Queen, which of course the Americans have taken to their own and called it My Country 'Tis of Thee. Pretty cool song. January 22nd, 1973, abortion became legal in the United States as the Supreme Court announced its decision in the case of Roe versus Wade, striking down local state laws restricting abortions in the first 6 months of pregnancy. In more recent rulings in 1989, 1992, and most recently 2022, the Supreme Court has held the power of individual states to impose some restrictions, making it virtually impossible in some states, such as Texas, to get an abortion no matter what the cause is or the concern of the mother. I guess we'll just leave it at that. January 23rd, also medically related, 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell was awarded her MD, or medical doctorate, by the Medical Institute of Geneva, New York, thus becoming America's first woman doctor. So congratulations to you and all those other doctors, female doctors that have entered the medical profession. January 23rd, 1907, this is an interesting one. Charles Curtis of Kansas becomes the first person of Native American ancestry to serve in the United States Senate. He later served as vice president under President Herbert Hoover from 1929 to 1933. And it's interesting because you notice the date 1907, the Indian Citizenship Act doesn't take place until 1924, recognizing Native Americans as citizens of the United States and achieving the right to vote, although some states restricted their right to vote until 1955. January 23rd, 1968, the American ship USS Puebla was seized by North Koreans in the Sea of Japan amid claims that the Navy ship was spying. It was an intelligence collection ship, so yeah, they might have been right on that one. The ship was confiscated and its crew held in captivity until December, with regrettably one fatality. In fact, the ship is actually now on display in North Korea. January 24th, 1848. California, here I come. The California Gold Rush began with the accidental discovery of the precious metal near Coloma, California during the construction of Sutter's Sawmill. An announcement by President Polk later in the year caused a national sensation and resulted in a flood of 49ers, that's why the football team gets its name, seeking wealth. But the real wealth wasn't in the gold. Actually, it was in the selling of equipment to the miners that came seeking their wealth. And there's an example of the mill that was constructed there at the time. California, here I come. And we're still here. January 24th, 1895, Hawaii's monarchy ended as Queen Liliuokalani, probably mispronounced that, was forced to abdicate. That means she was forced to step down from the throne. Hawaii was then annexed or taken over by the United States and remained a territory until statehood was granted in 1959. January 24th, 1972, the Japanese soldier Shoichi Yokai was discovered on Guam, an American-held island, in the Solomon, or not the Solomons, but in the Marianas, after he had spent 28 years hiding out in the jungle, not knowing World War II had long since ended. Actually, he was discovered when he attacked some fishermen trying to get food, but he was in such a weakened state that they were able to overpower him, turn him over to the American authorities, and of course the Japanese authorities, Japanese government was notified. Yokai arrived back home in February of 1972, receiving a hero's welcome by a crowd of 5,000. "I have returned with the rifle the Emperor gave me," he told the New York Times upon his return. "I am sorry I could not serve him to my satisfaction." And there you see he's definitely overcome with emotion by the reception that he received by the Japanese people. January 25th, 1959, American Airlines, Boeing 707. There's an example of one there. made the first scheduled transcontinental flight that's across the U.S., traveling from California to New York, which is a distance of about 2,004 miles. It took him about 5.5 hours, which interestingly is not so much different from times we would experience today. So the technology has made the engines more efficient, but not necessarily faster in terms of air travel. January 26, 1788, the British established a settlement at Sydney Harbour in Australia. That's right, we're talking Australia here. As 11 ships with 778 convicts arrived, setting up a penal colony. So basically, the whole continent became a prison to relieve overcrowded prisons in England. More than 160,000 convicts, men, women, and children, interesting enough, were transported to Australia between 1788 and 1868. So Australia was originally founded as a prison. Interestingly enough, how some countries get their start. January 26, 1915, Rocky Mountain National Park, which I've been to a couple of times, is located approximately 55 miles northwest of Denver in north-central Colorado. The eastern and western slopes of the Continental Divide of the Rocky Mountains run directly through the center of the park, with the headwaters of the Colorado River located in the park's northwest region. And there are a couple of scenes there. It's definitely a very, very beautiful park, although I still think the Sierras are a nicer place. I think that was the proper solemnity for that particular slide. January 27, 1967, 3 American astronauts, Gus Grissom on the left, Ed White in the center, and Roger B. Chaffee on the right, were killed as a fire erupted inside the Apollo 1 spacecraft during a launch simulation. It was still sitting on the ground. It was not an actual launch. It happened at Cape Kennedy, Florida. Kind of an interesting, dumb design. The aircraft or the spacecraft was designed that the hatch would open to the inside. So when the fire broke out, of course, pressure built up in the capsule, and they weren't able to access the astronauts in time. So a very regrettable incident in our space program. January 27th, 1973, U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War ended as North Vietnamese and American representatives signed an agreement in Paris. The U.S. agreed to remove all remaining troops within 60 days, thus ending the longest war in American history, till Iraq and Afghanistan. Over 58,000 Americans had been killed, 300,000 wounded, and 2,500 declared missing, presumed dead. A total of 566 prisoners of war had been held by the North Vietnamese during the war, with 55 reported deaths. The music you're hearing in the background there is Painted Black by the Rolling Stones. It was used as the theme music for a TV program known as Tour of Duty, chronicling the war in Vietnam. And this is the Vietnam Memorial, a very touching memorial with all the names of everyone lost during that war. Notable birthdays. Ethan Allen, 21st of January. He was born in Litchfield, Connecticut. He was a hero of the American Revolution who led a small force that captured Fort Ticonderoga in New York without bloodshed in 1775. The fort contained much-needed supplies and ammunition. In fact, the cannons were used in the capture of Boston by American troops by General Washington. 22nd of January, British essayist, philosopher, and statesman Sir Francis Bacon was born in London, best known for his philosophical works concerning the acquisition of knowledge and the advancement of learning. He developed the scientific process, which I'm pretty sure you've learned in your science classes. 26th of January, General Douglas MacArthur was born in a military base in Little Rock, Arkansas, commanded Allied forces during World War II in the Pacific. In 1942, he uttered one of the most famous phrases of the war, "I shall return," when forced to leave the Philippines due to the unchecked Japanese advances. In 1950, after war broke out in Korea, he became commander of the United Nations forces. However, disagreements with President Harry Truman over war policy resulted in his dismissal by Truman in April of 1951. MacArthur then appeared before Congress and announced his retirement, declaring, "Old soldiers never die, they just fade away." Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. You're going to hear a bit of his music here later on. He was born in Salzburg, Austria. From the age of 5 through his untimely death at 35, this musical genius created over 600 compositions, including 16 operas, 41 symphonies. My favorite, Beethoven, only created 9 symphonies, 27 piano and 5 violin concerti, 25 string quartets, 19 masses, and many other works. Next, also on the 27th of January, the British novelist Lewis Carroll was born in Daresbury, Cheshire, England. Best known for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, he also lectured in mathematics. He was quite the mathematician himself and was a pioneering photographer. Next, on the 27th of January, we have Samuel Gompers. He was born in London, England. He emigrated to the United States at the age of 13 and worked in a cigar factory, eventually becoming the head of the Cigar Workers Union. He later brought together several national unions under the name the American Federation of Labor and became its first president. That labor union actually still exists in the United States. A lot of birthdays for 27th. Finally, we come to Kaiser Wilhelm II. He was the grandson of England's Queen Victoria. We just had a little slide on her a little while ago. And ruled Germany from 1888 through the First World War. Although he had military training, he left conduct of the war mainly in the hands of his general, von Hindenburg and von Ludendorff. Amid the defeat of Germany, he abdicated, or he left the throne, and fled to the Netherlands, where he lived in seclusion until his passing. So that concludes Mr. Symington's This Week in History, and I'm going to leave you with Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik, which translated from the German means a little night music. So thank you for viewing, and hope you enjoy This Week in History, and we'll leave you with Mozart.